Alright, good evening everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Dungan-Mott Music and Movie Podcast. I'm Devin Dunnigan, and here with me as always is Mr. Stephen Mott. How you doing, brother?
Yes.
So we're here actually together recording this episode for the first time. And today we are going to be reviewing the 1980 album by REO Speedwagon, High Infidelity. And this was Steven's pick, so we have actually recorded some REO Speedwagon, or recorded a review of REO Speedwagon before, back, I believe, on our third episode when we first started the podcast. But this album was released on November 21st, 1980, so it just celebrated its anniversary, and it was recorded from June to October of 1980, produced by Kevin Beamish, Kevin Cronin, Alan Greitzer, or Gratzer, however you pronounce it, and Gary Richrath. 4 singles were released from the album, even though 2 more that weren't released as singles ended up charting. And then it went number 1 on the Billboard 200, and it sold 10 million copies, certifying it as Diamond. And this album has been performed in its entirety on October 25th, 2004. And this was for an XM Radio Then Again Live special. And then it was re-released in 2011, including a bonus disc of demos recorded in August of 1980. So that's pretty much all the backstory I have. This was a huge album at the time. I mean, it basically catapulted REO Speedwagon to being one of the biggest bands in the world. And they stayed that way all the way up until around the late 80s. And then they kind of suffered sort of a collapse, and then they lost some band members, then gained some new ones, and then the band's kind of been going strong since. But this is a band, granted, I don't know a whole lot about, but I'll talk more about the album as we go on. So, Steven, since you picked the album, how did you come to discover this record and this band, and why did you pick this record?
Basically, I was just looking through. I looked up on REO Speedwagon, the main channel, and I was scrolling through, and I was listening to. I was particularly interested in the album Nine Lives at the time, but really the first album I've ever been interested in is You Can't Tune a Piano, but You Can Tune a Fish. I think it's what it's called.
Yeah, we reviewed that.
Yeah, I love that one, but and then I like Nine Lives too. But then I figured this one, for some reason, it would be a good one to review. I figured because kind of it's from 1980, right?
Yeah.
And it seems it's their 9th studio record, and I think, and but the thing is they got this sounds really commercial, and it would be interesting to talk about. So there you go.
All right, and yeah, I mean the thing about it is all these kind of bands were starting to go in this direction. I mean, you had the Allman Brothers, sort of. I mean, they started as a Southern rock band. They were going in this direction. And then kind of like 38 Special, which the early stuff was Southern rock, but as it kind of went on, they became kind of just a straight-ahead rock band. And they were getting more and more commercial on every album. Like the one we did, Tour de Force, a while back for the New Ridgeline podcast. That was kind of them going in a more commercial route. And then, I mean, Blackfoot would eventually go in that direction. They were kind of this real heavy Southern rock band. Molly Hatchet, the year after this, would do a straight-ahead hard rock album. And, I mean, all these bands were changing their style. Kiss, I mean, 1980, they're doing pop. I mean, all these bands were changing their styles at the turn of the decade into the 80s. And, I mean, really and truly, for the most part, a lot of these bands would either have a lot of success or would end up kind of falling apart, much like Blackfoot. And, I mean, Molly Hatchet, at the end of the day, they kind of fell apart. But overall, this is a record that's very interesting. So we're going to go into the track-by-tracks now. So Don't Let Him Go. So this starts with an old-fashioned rock and roll kind of sound. And the drum beat kind of reminds me of like a Bo Diddley song. And one of my comments here, what are these lyrics? So right off the bat, I'm not too big on the lyrics. Not entirely sold on the structure of the verses either. The chorus is great, a great poppy chorus, and I love the keyboard runs that me and Steven was talking before recording, and he was talking about the keyboards kind of make the song, which is probably a spoiler alert on my part for him, but I definitely agree the keyboards make it. The second verses kind of are better than the first, in my opinion, and then just the lyrics just are not that great. Don't let him go. Give him a chance to grow. Like, I just don't. I'm not a fan. And then an interesting choice to include a keyboard solo. And then now Gary Richrath does a Leonard Skinner / Allman Brothers Southern Rock guitar solo. And this was the second single released off the record. And I will say that the song gets better as it kind of progresses. Some good guitar work throughout. It went number 11 on the mainstream rock charts and number 24 on the Billboard Hot 100, and a performance video was made for the song. So Steven, take Don't Let Him Go.
All right, number 1. The typical band on stage music video, as well as a couple others coming up. We'll go into that. Like to me, they were recorded on the same day, which is crap. Interesting keyboard sound over it. Really makes the song, Devin. Great guitar playing also through it. And it's a very distinct band sound altogether, which I think really is what makes REO Speedwagon keep going. And, the distinct sound altogether. But this is actually a really good song. To me, it gets better every time I hear it here lately. And, as we go on, most of this album, all the songs are kind of the same way. The more you listen to them, the better they get. So, and it's very commercial. And we'll get into that later. So, back to you.
Alrighty. So, the next song on the record, Keep On Loving You. So, this was the first single released off the album. This is one of the 2 songs that I already knew off the record. Like when we did, you can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. That had like a couple of songs I'd heard on the radio that I actually knew, but the rest of it I didn't. And I like the song a whole lot. I think it's a lot better than the first song, the perfect pop rock ballad. And the video is just completely absurd. Great verse and chorus structures, a good soulful solo in the middle. Definitely of the time in terms of its sound. And I love that vocal modulation going into the pre-chorus after the guitar solo. And the ending with the piano is great. I love how they just kind of wind it down to just being the piano. And then it went number 9 on the mainstream rock charts and number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. And in my opinion, this is the best song on this record. So, Steven, take Keep On Loving You.
Well, I think I read about this one that it was at least their first number 1 to date. I think now. Could be wrong, but I know it was number 1. I know it was the only one off of this record. But, music video quite interesting and unique. And very interesting lyrical content. Like a snake in the grass, lay coiled up and hissing. Devin thought that was quite
stupid,
interesting. But anyway, a lot of thought was put into the lyrics, I can tell, and for the better or worse. The sound is going to be very hard to replicate live for this whole record, especially this song in particular because of, like we was talking about earlier on this 30th, I think it's 30th anniversary edition here they released. It's on YouTube. They've got these versions of the songs that were like the live in the studio demos, and they're really close to the studio. What was actually on the album, playing wise, it's just the effects and all that were added to it.
It's much more raw.
Yeah. But I mean, my point being is that things like "Keep on Loving You," you know, it's gonna be really hard to really have the same energy live as, you know. It's gonna be hard to replicate, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And but anyway, so back to you, Devin.
Alrighty, so the next track is Follow My Heart. So track number 3 starts off with this very sleazy riff, and then what in the crap is this song structure? I mean, something just does not add up here on this particular track. A very repetitive and just grating chorus. Has potential. I think if they would have worked it out a little bit more, it could have been a better song. But as it is, very kind of just middle of the road pedestrian rock. Very much a filler. And then a great solo, and then it says in it, just follow your head or follow your heart, and I'll just follow your hands and shut this song off. And then it's got another good solo toward the end of the song, and then the oohs are just crap and unneeded. The backing vocals are just crap and just complete shit. And then, how long is this freaking song? It seems like it's like 6 minutes long. And then another good solo, and this is the best thing about the song, and it could have worked much better as an instrumental. So, Stephen, take Follow My Heart.
Well, there's a story. One time I was riding down the road, listening to this song, and I actually opened the door and tried to jump out, and it was that bad. We was going down Chillinger Road, and but anyway, not a bad song. That's going to paraphrase from my notes, and but anyway, but the chorus repeats the same line 4 times. And song also seems to drag on forever. And I mean, I just don't know. I mean, honestly, this crap is crap. And I mean, this is unacceptable. This is untamed, complete, utter, limicking bull. So back to you, Devin.
Alrighty, so then we move to track number 4, In Your Letter. So now we get a 50s doo-wop style song. And this is, to me, total freaking filler. A video was made for this song, and it's once again quite absurd. When they're tearing the letter up and the woman's making faces, it's just so freaking corny and stupid. The final single released, and then now we have a piano solo into an organ solo, which is kind of interesting. I just put okay with a bunch of question marks. And this kind of reminds me of what Peter Criss was doing on his first couple of solo albums, like Out of Control and Let Me Rock You. And then I put, man, they don't know what song structure is at all. And then instead of just tearing the letter up, how about you just take the letter and burn it and just get rid of it altogether? Because, I mean, just tearing it up is still going to be in your presence. Just burn it. And then I just put one word, repetitive, and then it went to number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100. And so, Stephen, take In Your Letter.
This one is one of the main ones that got better as the more I heard it. When I first heard it, it struck me as hokey and corny as all heck and back. But really, I mean, sounds like they're trying to sound like the 50s, but still, I mean, to me, it got better. I could see it being on the radio or whatever. It's a throwback type thing, and okay song, but not the greatest in the world. Seems like somewhat of a cop-out to me. But, I mean, pretty much, I mean, the whole thing with this album is it's supposed to sound very commercial. And whoever produced this record, I think, did a really good job to enhance this, what they had and make the most of it, because the songwriting is not bad, but it's not the best there's ever been, probably, they've ever done. But the thing with REO Speedwagon albums is the thing, they always seem to have a few of those corny ones in there, but I think it's kind of for effect. But back to you, Devin.
Alrighty, and I will say this about the album as a whole. Now, this is the notes that I took before we actually recorded. It was a day before we actually recorded this. But I will say some of these songs have been stuck in my head, so I would not be surprised whatsoever if I did go back and listen to this maybe in a couple of months or so, and I actually come around to this, because I do change my opinions a lot. But I'll just say that and kind of leave it there. I mean, heck, maybe one day we'll just do a redo on the episode or something, like in 40 years or something. But either way, it is what it is. So Take It on the Run. So the second single from the album, another one of the songs that I knew off this record already. Now, Keep on Loving You, I like exactly the way it is, but this one, I'm just kind of burnt out on. It's still a good song, a great chorus, and the small changes in the rhythm guitar during the verses are quite good. And then now a heavy metal style guitar solo, which is welcome. Gary Richrath was a great guitar player. I mean, rest in peace. And the final song for side one, and it went number 6 on the mainstream rock charts and number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. So, Stephen, take it on a run.
It has been running to the ground, but otherwise, it's a good song, but to me, it's not the greatest in the world. It's one of those songs that you can get tired of easier than most. It has something about it like that, some kind of quality, but still, I mean, to me, not the best on the record. Supposedly got a video, but it's nowhere to us to be found.
It's just swiped from the internet. I could never find it.
We can never find it. But supposedly we read also that it was, on the first day of MTV.
Yeah, and then
it was got 10 seconds into it.
Something like that, and then it just went out because of technical difficulties. So.
But anyway, that showed you like how far this album goes back.
But that's the thing about music videos back then, though, were that they weren't really music videos that kind of like they were later on, where it was like concept videos and stuff like that. A lot of them were just promotional videos, which is why a lot of them, like the first couple on here, were like performance videos. Kiss did a bunch of stuff like that, but didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, and this song, like I said, it's not the greatest, but I can deal with it. That's about really it. Because it's just I've heard it so much, I'm tired of it due to familiarity, in other words. But back to you, Devin.
Alrighty, so Tough Guy. So the opener to side 2. Now this is more like it, I put, which, like I said, refer to the note above. And good pop rock song, not commercially released as a single, but did chart. It went number 25 on the mainstream rock charts. Reminds me of a bit of Cheap Trick, and he utters the line, "She thinks they're full of shit." So now we get rougher and tougher on this song. And a good solo once again. So Stephen, take Tough Guys.
This one's actually really good. And to me, they tried to make by far the most commercial record ever by them to date. And you can just tell that's what they were going for to me. And the production mainly added to that, obviously. And this song is really good. And the songwriting on this record is great altogether. Contrary to what Devin thinks. But I really like the lyrics because they're different, and you can tell thought was put into it. And he probably took some time with it, to what it seemed like to me. And the songs actually make sense to me more than, say, Sammy Hagar's or somebody like that. It's like his lyrics they don't really make sense as a song to a song as a whole as these songs do, if that makes any sense. But anyway, I mean, this one, I mean, it's really a good one to me. So back to you, Devin.
Alrighty, I didn't put this in my notes, but I was going to say, like, the lyrics do remind me of a lot of just the sloppily crapped out lyrics that Sammy Hagar did back in the day. Some of this stuff does, not all of it, but I mean, like I said earlier, it is what it is. But then we go to the next track, Out of Season. So another good song. And I will say, I think side 2 as a whole is a little bit better than side 1. Once again, a track not released as a single, but it did chart. It went number 59 on the mainstream rock charts. Great chorus, pop rock perfection, and another good solo. So Stephen Tate, Out of Season.
So what it is, I mean, number 7, Out of Season, it's a song that's on the album, and it's definitely an album track because the song is on the album.
Oh, yes.
And the keyboard player and guitar player add so much to this record and create a signature sound, as well as the vocals, obviously, the lead vocals. But, you know, kind of goes without saying some, but this song is one of those, another one, what I'm talking about, that it makes more sense, the song as a whole, than most of this crap rock bands put out. I mean, not necessarily the best lyrics, but I mean, it just makes more sense. I really think that Out of Season is a good song too. I really like it. Very popish, very pop. But back to you, Devin.
Alright, so the next track on here is Shaking It Loose. So this could have worked better as an instrumental, and it is actually included like that on the bonus disc. And a piano solo in it that's pretty cool, and now a blazing guitar solo, and I put this song is complete shiitake. So Stephen, take Shaking It Loose.
I agree. I mean, it's not horrible, but at the same time, it's just an album track that wasn't meant to really go anywhere. But I mean, this song is really not that great. I mean, I could have done without it. I wish they would have left it off the record, to be honest. The thing is, though, they probably didn't want it to run too short, because if they would have, then, I mean, it just wouldn't have went over as good, as a record as a whole. And I think they should have added this podcast at the end of the record. That would have filled it out. So back to you, Devin.
Alrighty, so the next track is Someone Tonight. So this is sang by the bass player, Bruce Hall. Not bad at all. It kind of sounds like a 50s or 60s type song. Almost like Cream mixed with the Beatles and like Eddie Cochran's Summertime Blues. And a good break in the monotony. And overall, I just put a good solo. So Stephen, take Someone Tonight.
No. Number 9, pretty much. It's not bad. It's a pretty good song. That's all I got to say. For 1980, this album sounds very commercial. And there's a different singer on this one, the bass player, Bruce Hall. And I couldn't, at first when I heard it, I couldn't even really tell that much. I mean, obviously a different singer, but it didn't strike me as that bad of a singer. So, I mean, really, this guy seems to me like he could be a singer of his own band, probably not the caliber of, the guy they got, but, pretty much, he's a pretty good singer, so this song is pretty good overall, and, screw it. So back to you, Devin.
Alright, so the next track on the record, and the last track, I Wish You Were There, so I put Now We're Pink Floyd. Oh, never mind, it's I Wish You Were There, not I Wish You Were Here. And now they're doing a little help from My Freaking Friends, which is very, very obvious freaking ripoff of that. And then total filler and not a good way to close the album. A good solo. Then now we get some slide guitar, which is, I just put Fine, fine. And is this the end of Saturday Night Live? Because it seems like it in the music that's playing and the way that the music, the instruments sound. And then, so Stephen, take I Wish You Were There.
This one was really meant to let Kevin Cronin's, however you say it, his voice shine through. And it's kind of a low, slow song, you know. There's some, and also I just put that there are some really good people in this band. I really like the way this band is set up, the way it is. Seems like they could do whatever they wanted to, pretty much. And basically, what I meant is that the band was talented, and any one of them could have probably had their own band, to me. But you know, and also, furthermore from that, this album as a whole, I mean, it's not that long, but really it's good that way. Because it kind of goes by fast when you listen to it pretty much. And that's the way, to me, it should be. So, back to you, Devin.
Alrighty, so that is the end of the record. So, my conclusion is overall, I give this album a 3.5 out of 5. I don't hate it by any means. I think some of the songs are just very corny and just bland rock. And then, I mean, I've noticed I've grown a lot out of that kind of commercial stuff because back in the day, I used to love when bands went commercial. Like, I used to love Kiss Crazy Nights, and I mean, a lot of albums like that. And some of it I still do enjoy, but then there's a lot I'm also just like, what is this? I mean, it's just not that great, in my opinion. And then I really just don't see what's so special about this record. To me, it's just not that great. I mean, I guess from a commercial standpoint is the reason that it did so well, but to me, I just kind of find it to be a half-baked record, half-assed, if you will. And overall, I prefer the earlier stuff that I've heard to this. I think I like when they were kind of more harder rocking, and this band I've noticed has kind of been considered a joke now, because I see a lot of people who are just kind of on the band. I'm not like that. I like the band a lot, but this is an album I'm just not that big of a fan of. And I've heard some of the 70s stuff, like the album reviewed back on episode 3, and then I've heard an album that was actually the first with the guitar player and drummer they have now, called The Earth, a Small Man and His Chicken, and that wasn't that bad. It was kind of them trying to get back to that earlier sound, and overall I like that. But for what it is, this album's kind of for me. But what I said earlier, who knows, I may come to enjoy this album a whole lot more as time goes on. So Stephen, give your conclusion on this record.
I would like to give it a probably say a 9 out of 10 overall. I really enjoy it. Just for the sake of, you know, just listen to it all the way through. It's kind of a fun album to listen to. And you know, it's kind of upbeat and all, you know, it's just a good album overall to me. For what they were going for commercial wise and all that. I think they pretty much did a good job with it. And you know, I don't know the amount of time they spent on it. Seemed like it was a pretty good amount of time. But anyway, my picks of the week are Halloween Resurrection. So back to you, Devin.
Alrighty, so my picks of the week are actually, so this is a movie that just came out, just like a few days ago when we're recording this, and I'm talking about A Christmas Story Christmas, which is a sequel to the classic 1983 movie A Christmas Story. To me, this is my movie of the year. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was just a really good sequel. And it was a legacy sequel done right. So that's my movie. And then my music is going to be an album where this particular band went in a commercial route. And so I'm talking about Blackfoot's 1983 album, Seago, which is the first with Ken Hensley, the first of two, and the final with the original guitar player, Charlie Haggart. And to me, that's a band doing something commercial and doing it right. So that's it. That's the episode for this week. I hope you all enjoyed it, and we are finally back to doing some regular episodes again. So we hope you all enjoyed this episode. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you all for watching or listening, whatever you want to do. So God bless you all. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay frosty, and as always, see you next time.